what is your why and what do you want to do with your life?
You're so different. You used to just sit on the couch.
People, passion, and on purpose.
Putting on my own oxygen mask first.
Believe in yourself. You are stronger than you think.
Between self-soothing and self-care.
To be a better daughter and a better sister and a better friend and just a better human
caregiver, and we take on everyone's problems and we fix everything. My name is Kelly Robinson. I am the founder of a company called PKR, also known as Pana Knows, and we're a recruiting company. Today, we are celebrating women business leaders and executives. We are super excited to have a diverse group of women with diverse backgrounds, many different types of obstacles that they've overcome to be here. And what we're going to do is I'll share a tiny bit about them, how I know them and their name, and then we will jump in. Each one has a kind of a theme that they wanted to talk about, focusing on the overall panel theme of knowing your why. And I think we keep hearing this more and more. And it's just like the last panel, if you were able to listen, talked about intention a lot. Knowing your why and intention, they're really connected. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So each panelist is going to talk maybe for 8 to 10 minutes. And then we will go into Q&A where you can put your questions in the chat or in the Q&A box. And then we will end it. So first we have Mel Warrell Johnson. So Mel and I met through a networking event from LinkedIn, and we just it was just like that. Like we just connected. I was like, she's such a rock star woman. I need to know her. And now we do yoga together and talk all the time and text all the time. So Mel. Next up is Nicole Goddard, who is my amazing business partner. Nikole and I have known each other for a while. We've worked together. This is our second time. So, when Scotty asked me to partner with him to do this panel, it was like, well, duh, Nikole. So we're going to talk a little bit about Nikole and her why. And last but not least is Kate Banasiak. And I just met Kate, I guess last week or the week before, through Mel. So it's like this crazy world. All these amazing women know other amazing women. And Kate, so we're looking forward to hearing your why. Awesome. So Mel, I'm going to kick it over to you. Tell us who you are, and then kind of the theme that you want to talk about.
Sure. Thanks, Kelly. This is a bit random, but to Kelly's point about she raised the roof for Mel. So obviously I would, give all of the women and the 3 previous panels a huge call out. But Kelly, I was looking through talking about Brené Brown stuff about who's in your arena, and I made a list of who's in my arena, and Kate and Kelly are both in my arena, right? When I think about those crew of women that I reach out to, and obviously as I get to know Nikole better and the other panelists, it's just how do you support and hold each other accountable, but also be like their biggest cheerleader, not in like a pom-pom kind of cheerleader way, right? Just holding each other accountable and that you've got it. So anyway, very honored to be here today. And so let's talk about me and my why. So for me, I am a leadership coach as well as do some coaching work with Coach U. And so my practice is all around supporting, partnering with my clients on their journey. So leadership, development, people that are emerging leaders or currently on a succession plan that are working towards that next level within their group. I do coach men. 85% of my clients right now are female. And I think that's because I was a female in leadership, right? Like we have that common bond. So I started from small business ownership to a senior vice president within the insurance space. And my real why started a year ago, right? So I think I shared in our pre-discussion, I was supposed to start my timer so I don't talk too long. about a year ago. So March 2nd was the day that I walked into a meeting with my new boss, as my leader, the CMO, had left the company. And I walked in to find HR there, and my role was eliminated. So I do this air quotes because while it was the nicest way that they could say I was fired, I'd been fired, and I'd never been fired in my whole life. So I had this moment where I went home and I was like, what just happened? Right. And what ended up happening, it was like this rediscovery of who I was and really what my why is. I hired a career consultant. She really challenged me to say, what is your why and what do you want to do with your life? Right. Like I got this opportunity at 41. Yes, I was 41, never been fired in my life. Officially have been fired. And I work through what is my why. And what it comes down to me is I say 3 Ps: people, passion, and on purpose. And so when I think about coaching rose to the surface over 3 times, and I know 3 doesn't sound like a big number, but when you're trying to figure out what you want to do, like go back to corporate, do something else, it kept kind of knocking me in the side of the head, right? Like you should lead people, you should coach people, you should consult people. So that's where it went. And when I talk about like really my theme for this and what my key takeaway is really was the discovery of what I wanted to do versus what I needed to do. And so when I think about all of these things, when we were talking about my why, it was driving towards living a fulfilling life, that realizing, and we talked about this in our prep session, is in corporate, I made really great money, right? And we all talk about maybe that our worth is based on what your income is or what you get paid hourly or what your salary is, how big is your bonus, right? And you get into those conversations. And what I realized through all of this journey is that if I'm doing the right things, right, and I'm helping people on their journey and helping elevate leaders, and we all have leadership responsibility, and I'm kind of a little all over the place, but we all have leadership responsibility to show leadership, whether you're an individual contributor or part of a team or you lead a team. We all have responsibilities to show some leadership. And so and I've said this on LinkedIn for those of you that I connect with on LinkedIn, my motto has always been give, ask, receive. If I give first, if I give, I give, I give, right? It's like putting money into a piggy bank that I can withdraw later. Give with nothing expected in return. At some point, I'll likely receive something back. And at some point, if I need to ask, I've built enough of doing the right things to ask for help when I need it. Helping others is a big one for me. So when we look at my why is helping people. It's if you help others, and I've said this to a lot of people, if you ask someone for help, if I ask Kelly, right, whether she knew me or not, Kelly, could you help me with something? She's not going to say to me, well, Mel, I need you to tell me what you want help with first. Her natural inclination, and most humans' natural inclination, is to say, sure, what do you need help with? Right. And then maybe you qualify like, well, I can do this part, but I don't have time to do this whole part. And so how do you help others? How do you give back? How are you, the previous group talked about being authentic. Like, how do you be your authentic self, but fulfill that, the part of you that it is your greatness. One of the things I also wrote down, because I am a little bit spastic, and that's one of the things that I love about myself is I'm a little all over the place, is how do you figure out what you're great at versus what you're good at? So all of us have a plethora of things we're good at, but there are certain things that we're really great at. And how do you bring the things you're great at to the top of your wants to do versus needs to do or has to do, and really focus on the things that you're great at, so that when you're sharing your greatness, that people get the best parts of you and not just the things that you happen to be good at. It doesn't mean that you have a passion for it. And the other thing that I wrote down around that is, I say often, what fills your cup? Like, what makes your cup run over, right? So what are the things you're doing on a daily basis that really makes your cup run over? And so, challenge your why, challenge what you're doing. And it doesn't mean that you have to, not everyone loves their career, right? You happen to be really good at it. You've been in it a long time, but there's also something really great about reimagining or reinventing yourself. And it doesn't mean that I became someone I'm not. I just became more authentic to who I am. And when I first had the opportunity to have my role eliminated, as I do air quotes, I was fired up, right? Like I might have went by that business. I might have showed them some signs of appreciation that weren't really that appreciative. And now I don't do that. And part of that was the journey of moving through that. but also now recognizing that, frankly, it's the best thing that could have happened to me. I was in golden handcuffs. I would have never left. I would have stayed till I retired. I would have kept doing a really good job because I'm passionate about whatever I'm doing. I want to do it well. But they truly afforded me the opportunity to find something that I love. I wouldn't have met Kelly on this panel. I knew Kate, right? Like I had met Kate through uh, amazing ways in Des Moines. And, I wouldn't have met Nikole or any of the panelists. So it's one of those things that in the moment, it feels like, holy cow, I like gut punch, right? And at the end of the day, I said originally to my husband, well, it was a blessing in disguise. And he said, Mel, it wasn't a blessing in disguise. It was just a blessing. And so at moments like stepping back, figuring out what your why is, where do you thrive? I think this is another question that I've asked people before is ask people that you really care about. And I mentioned the arena, like where do you see me thriving and where do you see me just getting by? And so having that conversation with people that really care about you to say, where are you thriving? And if you are going to re-navigate your why and really rediscover what it is that gives you the most purpose, what is that, right? And ask the people that care about you the most, because most people just want to be happy, but the people who really love and care about you want to see you thriving. So I think I did take a breath there, even though it may not have seemed like I did. I can breathe through my nose while I'm talking. I'm just kidding, Kelly.
But one thing, you're self-aware. I like that. You are. Some people are not self-aware.
Yeah. So those are my things, Kelly. And there's the book Good to Great, and that makes me think about what are you great at versus what do you just happen to be good at. I also wrote down doing the right thing always wins. So, if you're doing the right thing, helping people, giving back, it always wins. Like it always comes full circle and we end up fulfilled. Right. And then the other thing I wrote was about elevating leaders. How do we have the most amount of leaders that are thought-provocative, team inclusive, communicating, collaborative, all of that rolls down, right? Speed of the leader, speed of the pack. The more we have leaders that are aware, authentic, running their cup over, the better it is for everybody in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so important. Sorry about that. There's like this little light on my face. Don't know where it's coming from, but see it? I
just thought you were
totally
naturally
agree.
glistening.
Yes, it's just us. I totally agree, especially with the leadership, because I think we talked about this in the last panel too, like people need to see leadership doing the things so that they understand like this is really important to be vulnerable and take care of yourself and make sure you know your why and challenge your why. And I love the helping others because you're right, it's always doing the right thing. And selfishly, it feels really good to help others. It really does.
Yeah.
And so, best thing for me ever is getting fired. 150,000%. Your post this morning where I said, I have a hard time with when you talk about how women, the most impactful woman, because unfortunately the most impactful woman was negative. It was a negative impact, but it created a positive impact. So here we are. So thank you, Mel. You didn't really talk about who you are. Can you say really quickly, like you're a puppy mom? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Personally, yes. I am married. I have a great husband. We love to bike. We love to paddleboard. We like to be outdoors. That would be the best thing to say. We bought an Airstream this winter and we affectionately named her the Bamper because she's a Bambi camper. So we're super excited to take her out on her maiden voyage. And we have an 18-week-old golden retriever named Olive, and she's amazing.
Thank you. We love who you are. And Miss Nikole, my business partner, who is just lovely. She has so much to offer, and she's very, very, very positive. And so we welcome Nikole and tell us what is your why.
Thank you. I was just going to say, Mel, I put it in the notes, but I know that your dog loves her 12 p.m. walks, so I had to note that. Well, thank you. There were so many great takeaways from the first panel, and I have to admit, I really tried to prepare for how to share my story. And so I'm a little bit nervous because I think I may have over-prepared, overstressed myself, but We're gonna get through this. But I guess first and foremost, who I am. So I have the pleasure of being the COO and partner of Pana Knows Recruiting. And I say pleasure because most of us know Kelly. But when Lynn said, "What's your company?" What was the word she said? She said, "What is your company attitude or mentality, and do you need a shrink?" And I laughed because I thought maybe we do, but we have so much fun and we're just so authentic and raw that I walked away with a little nugget of appreciation there. But I manage service delivery for Pana Knows. Absolutely love what I do. I'm a toddler mom to a 2.5-year-old. I have a silver lab named Emmy, and we, the three of us ladies, my dog, my toddler, and me, just moved into our new apartment this weekend. So this background is extremely fake because there's a lot of boxes back there behind me. So as far as my why, when Kel asked if I wanted to be a part of this, and I thought, well, absolutely. And then when she mentioned talking about my why, my first thought, my most authentic thought was about my life experience that has shaped who I am. And I wasn't sure if it was the right place to share that, but this is my first time really sharing it broadly. So, if it can impact one person, if one person takes away just a little nugget of something that helps, then I think it's worth it. So my why, I think, starts from a very young age when I was exposed to, and I don't like to use the word victim, it's just a personal choice for me to not, but I was exposed to sexual abuse by my grandfather. And I had no idea what was right or wrong. Back when I was a baby or when I was younger, it wasn't as common to hear about sexual violence against women and just how common it is. And it really wasn't something you talked about. So it wasn't until I was, I don't even know, because you start to blur the timeline of your past when you're trying to heal through something. So I know I was at a sleepover with some of my girlfriends and I happened to mention something. And one of them was just like, no, that's not normal. That's not supposed to happen. So I say that to share that was a really pivotal moment for me. I was angry as a child. I was rebellious. I really acted out. I was really, really tough for my parents. I was the oldest of 4. I did not set a good example. I just was not pleasant to be around. And I think that in hindsight, I was angry. I felt like I wasn't being noticed. That this terrible thing had happened to me for, I would say, 12 years and completely went under the radar. So there was one day where I remember being in my bedroom and it was a purple room and butterflies were my theme. So I think I had like a Mariah Carey butterfly poster and little butterflies everywhere. And my parents were just fed up and they just said, "What is wrong?" And I remember saying, "You didn't protect me." And that is what really caught them off guard. Like, whoa, I was always partying. I was skipping school. I still had really great grades. So I was doing okay, but I was, being efficient with my time in the classroom and then spending more of it out of it. But they made me talk to a therapist. And the best thing ever was my parents doing that for me, because I went into that therapist's office, told them about what I was experiencing. And I had brought it up to an adult when I was like 5 or 6, but I was dismissed as if I was telling a fib or it couldn't possibly be true. And she listened, and immediately I was connected with the state police. From there, long story short, it was turbulent. It was hard. Lots of, what you see on Law and Order SVU. I mean, you actually have to speak to what happened. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think it really shaped me who I am today. So if we fast forward to now, because then I was angry, I was bitter, I felt misunderstood. I felt like nobody was really rooting for me. And then now I lead to specifically live to be what I did not have. So now I try to lead with kindness. And one of the most impactful things that has happened in the past few weeks is that my wonderful CEO adjusted our values to incorporate grace. It was always grit, which is diehard, like hardcore who we are personally and professionally, but now there's grace. And I think that in my life, grace or kindness may have been seen as a weakness at times, but to me, it's my strength. I think it's my superpower. I try to bring a light and kindness to every interaction, try to seek to understand, because nobody ever tried to understand me. I was mean, I was sassy, I was, I just wasn't a good kid, but I just needed somebody to look out for me. So I think that being, leading with understanding, just trying to be a good human being. I take a lot of what I learned into who I am as a mother, of course. I mean, so many things I will be mindful of for my daughter. Who I am today is just somebody who I try to root for the underdog, to the point of it's a little bit obnoxious. Like if you call me you just want to vent, I am not the go-to, because I am the person who's going to say, well, what if Sally was having a really bad day? What if Sally just got off of a tough work call? Maybe Sally isn't believing in herself today. And I've been told it can be a bit much, but you know what? I've survived, and I am a warrior, and I'm resilient. And I think that I've learned how to make lemonade out of almost anything in life, and anything that could go wrong. I got fired last year in the midst of a pandemic, being a single mom. And I was like, what am I going to do? Well, look where I landed. So I was able to make something really great out of something not so great. But it was golden handcuffs. I would have never left, but yet I wasn't truly fulfilled. So love that you shared that, Mel. But I guess my message is that believe in yourself. You are stronger than you think. But I was depressed. I battled anxiety. I still get a little anxious about random things, but not like I used to. I mean, years of therapy, years of journaling, years of just finding my happy place. I can truly say to this day that my grandfather has since passed, but I can truly say that if I had the opportunity to talk to him, and I know some people in my life are like, wow, why would you? I would tell him that I forgive him, because I think that he was sick. And I think that he gifted me a version of me that I would not have had otherwise. I could have grown up staying sassy, staying, not warm. But now I just think that experience made me. So I'm grateful for that. And it just goes to show that we are stronger than we think, and we can survive almost anything.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Nikole. That's amazing that you did that. And it pulls together what everyone has been talking about, which is vulnerability, intention, authenticity. Someone said, I love how authentic you are. It's really amazing. And you're right. Like you are very, very warm and positive. And sometimes I'll vent to you and you'll say well, and I'll be like, no, not well, Nikole, no. No. So, but I need that, right? So I need that. That's the grace. I got the grit. You got the grace. So, and I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we kind of reevaluated the values, because it really needs to be, I really am big on kind of the unculture, right? And so everyone's included, which is really important. So believe in yourself and lead with kindness. Thank you, Nikole. That's awesome. And last but not least, Kate.
Hi.
Kate, tell us who you are and what you want to talk about.
Absolutely. First of all, Nikole, goosebumps sitting here. I love how you took that and turned it around for yourself. So I'm humbled to go behind you after sharing so much stuff with everybody in all of these women today, because I've learned from all of you, even those of you that I've met so quickly here. And I'm excited now to share my own why as well. So before we get going though, I'll say just a little bit about myself. I'm Kate Beneziak. I'm the majority owner of a company called Diversified Management Services. I'm a small business, female-owned business through and through. I've got 2 fabulous kids and a wonderful husband at home. And this all really leads into my why today. So a little over a year ago, I was lucky enough to have an acquaintance from a board I'm on approach me and give me some advice that stopped me in my tracks and made me fully rethink things and how I was operating. The board member told me they saw me doing a lot of great things for my company and the community. And I immediately started to say, thank you so much. And he interrupted me in my spot. And he told me that's not a compliment at all. He told me that he was highly concerned that as he was watching me do things, that I was not taking the time to deposit any good into myself. And someday I was going to wake up with nothing in my savings for what I actually personally wanted and needed for my future. This was somebody that I sat across the board table with, and I knew a little, but not a lot. And so I literally had to stop my jaw from falling to the floor because he was so spot on. I'd been running on fumes for a while. And to be quite honest, I had spent the previous week on vacation crying on the beach. We had a high needs 6-month-old and a 5-year-old that I felt like I was failing. My husband was supposed to be signing a partner agreement at a firm where they wanted to make changes in a way that we knew was going to just make life even harder for us. I was working hard for my clients, my business, my employees, my volunteer opportunities, but I was not being strategic about advocating for myself at all in this process. I had sat on the beach and I was completely pissed at myself for being blessed with so many things on the outside, but falling apart on the inside, knowing that I was just slowly killing myself trying to do all of it. So the day we returned, my husband walked into work and didn't move forward on his partner agreement, meaning he was immediately done at his firm and was going to launch into starting his own thing. I walked into my board meeting that night with a smile on my face, but broken on the inside from all of the pressure. I don't know if any of you guys have ever done that in a moment. Then came the hard advice from this gentleman that sat on the board with me that I needed to start depositing into myself if I wanted to get to where I wanted to be. It was a truly defining moment for me. It pushed me to start rethinking my logic that I always had to advocate for everyone else before myself. I needed to instead start by asking, will this deposit good into me and my family? And if I cannot solidly answer yes, then I need to reassess what I'm doing. Now, don't get me wrong. I work as both a volunteer and a consultant with nonprofits where it's my job to advocate for the greater good every single day. But that does not mean that there can't be space in the equation for what my family and I need. So fast forward 8 weeks after we made this monumental shift in how we said our family was going to think, and the world starts shutting down for a global pandemic. We suddenly went from the normal pressures of the world to now navigating, reorganizing, to small businesses working from home. We've got 2 children without childcare, and we can't even find toilet paper. So yay. So at this point, it became glaringly obvious as I looked around that the system that we were all working and living in actually was not working for most. I was watching talented women start to leave the workforce in droves or just simply break down. I looked at myself and I said, I need to give more of myself to help stop this. But then I realized if I was truly going to help, I actually had to focus on putting on my own oxygen mask first. Mm-hmm. So how on earth was I going to continue down to this path that we had dedicated our year to as a family, and remember to invest in myself when the world seemed upside down? So I chose to start each day by looking at what I had scheduled and what I was working on and see where I was depositing good back. By doing this, I had to write it down so I actually wouldn't cheat myself. Otherwise, I would skip it. I encourage everyone to take a moment for this and see how much of yourself you're putting on your calendar for what you truly want. It takes 5 minutes in the morning, and it's an easy way to start. Shortly after I started this, I also came across a webinar on female burnout in the workplace. She spoke about the difference between self-soothing and self-care. I quickly realized if I was accountable that I was great at self-soothing and I was not great at self-care. So self-soothing is a great glass of wine at the end of the night or a fabulous massage that might bring a smile to your face. Self-care really requires that you look at those 7 pillars of things that you need in your life to feel secure. And if I wanted to be a great leader, friend, mother, wife, I needed to look at all of those and make sure that I was in tune with where I should be depositing each and every day. So I started to do some crazy things like tell my daughter We have a really big list of homeschool things, and I have a great big work inbox going on right now. But instead, we're going to go take a quick walk because we both need that for our mind and our body right now before we start our day. I can't tell you how uncomfortable it felt in the beginning to do that. I had identified success for my entire life with giving all that I had to everyone else but myself first. But we continued on and we kept doing uncomfortable things. And pretty soon I started to feel the shift. Then one day on one of these walks, my daughter looked at me and said, "Mom, can you please not go back to the way it used to be? I love being able to have time for fun as a family." Now, it wasn't that we never did anything fun, but in the midst of all of the chaos, she was starting to feel that really good energy that was coming from the changes that we were making. I was really excited about it because if you think about my why, it's a lot about my family. But I still couldn't help but feel a little guilty that a lot of the women around me were crumbling at a time that I was starting to feel myself make traction personally. Mm-hmm. So one day I was on a call and somebody asked me literally what Kool-Aid I was drinking because they could see the change in my eyes. And I just blurted out a version of this story that I just told all of you. And then I sat there super nervous because I share within my small circle, but I feel much more comfortable crying in my own closet. That's just who I am. But why is that what I think I need to do? So I decided if we don't discuss what's not working, how on earth are we ever going to go about fixing it? So the professional on the call, thankfully, told me that she really appreciated my honesty because she always thought that I was this person that had it all together. And then I laughed and I'm like, that's just so funny to me because we know nobody has it all together, really. So after that call, I picked up the phone immediately to my operations person and my HR director. And I said, it's time for us all to start being professionally vulnerable. We need to start asking ourselves and our employees what's working and what's not and figure out how we can make changes for our people that lead to long-term success. I wanted every talented person on our team to make it through what was to come. And so for us, that started with making a shift in what our workday looked like. We had to lean into systems that were bringing out employee strengths and so much more in a completely different day. I brought in consultants where we were weak, and we started piloting some different programs that we thought could address some of the day-to-day. Our work is absolutely not done in this. If we're going to bring back fantastic female talent in all of these different industries, we've all got to acknowledge that this is not just a women's issue. We've got to get everyone at the table to talk about it. I want to normalize men playing an active part in the caregiving roles and splitting household duties. I'm lucky to have a man at my house that does that. It is not everybody's normal, and it's not magic to have them make these things without flexibility as well. And I can't tell you, he is giving crap for supporting me in the way that he does and the impact that that has on his career. Let's also not just focus on female shortcomings and how they work, and instead focus on the systems and how they've been led to believe in the way they need to work. So I'm also a little done with glorifying walking uphill both ways in the snow to get things done. I instead am really excited about figuring out ways to open up people's minds to new approaches that we can allow talented individuals to be able to get to the table without slowly burning them out along the way. If I had to do something hard, why can't I just help somebody else over here learn from what I've done and learn from our mistakes along the way? So I have no problem getting in the corner of those that are championing change. Mel and I have connected about this the last year. It's fantastic to take a leap. I also completely understand that everybody's approach is going to look and feel differently. And I think we need to celebrate that along the way. The beauty of us each taking the time to look inward is going to result in a lot of different things and seeing where different deposits go to make that happen. So I'm excited about diversifying investments in myself and not giving just all to my career, my family, or whatever's on fire, and just looking across the way at everything that needs to be happening. I'm going to continue looking at my employees differently, as well as all the women that surround me and the great women on this panel. I also think we need to work on normalizing creating a system for everybody to work and live in that does not require us to be overdrawn. It is okay for you to deposit back in yourself. And when I hear that message from somebody, I'm going to scream hooray for you along the way. So this year has been crazy for everyone. It's been a lot of beautiful stories. And I just want to be here to tell you the power of unapologetically depositing back into yourself, and how this has like really led me to become in my why for myself over the last year. So thanks again, Kelly and Mel and Nicole, for allowing me to be on this. And I look forward to hearing everybody's questions.
You're amazing. So, I mean, I think we are not, I know that many of us have been brought up to be the caregiver, and we take on everyone's problems and we fix everything. And that over time can really create a tough reaction at some point, right? You're going to break because it's too much. So you guys have all heard me say this and post about the oxygen mask philosophy theory. Like when you said that, that's exactly how I live. I don't feel guilt anymore about doing things for me. And something I'll mention before we get into some of the questions that we had is, my son said to me, probably a little over a year ago or within the last year, he said, he's seen us in this new house after I got divorced and, on my own for a few years and doing things around the house. And he goes, Mom, you would have never done that stuff before. You're so different. You used to just sit on the couch. And he's right. I used to sit on that freaking couch in that old house. And I'm so different now. My house is spotless. It's always put together. I'm always doing things. I take such pride in everything. If I'm sitting around, I'm like, oh, this is weird, but it is weird. It's an occasion because I don't do it. So you never know who's watching too, right? So Kate, your part of your why was making deposits because it affects your family, and your children notice too when you are different, which is huge. So bravo to that. We have some questions. I'm just gonna look at my phone because I took pictures of them because they were kind of flying through. So Jared Greer was asking, when choosing a path or pursuit, how do you decide between this is hard, takes time to get better? I'm not sure what he means. Does anyone know what he means by that?
Hey, Kelly, I think he was directing that when I was talking. And so
Okay.
I'll jump in, and obviously Nicole and Kate or Kelly, anyone that has feedback on this. So I think what Jared was referring to, and he can jump in on the chat if not relevant, but talking about if something is hard, of making a change. And I guess what I would say is anything we're doing is hard. Maybe that sounds a bit on the optimistic scale, but I'll say to people, being married is hard. Raising a family is hard. Like being great at all things, to Kate's point about trying to be the super mom and the super business owner and keeping it all together and, keeping the face that you're not letting it. We always say like juggling all the balls. I've turned to the spinning plates, right? Like you think about the person with 100 spinning plates and they're all held up by the toothpick and they're like constantly like giving a little bit of energy to each of them. And so I think you just have to decide like what you want to be great at, the things that fill your cup. And I keep going back to what I said, but also what are the things that you let drop? So there's a point where you can't keep 100 plates going at a time. And what are the 3 or 4 or 5 things that you're going to put the most energy into? And of course, that's hard. Most of us want to say yes to everything. But I think another thing that came to mind while I was listening to everyone talk is how often do you say no, right? How much do you protect your time to make sure that you're really doing the things that you want to do? We all get the same 24 hours in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by the way, putting it on your calendar, someone had said that. I know Nicole and I do that, and then we respect each other's time. So if she's got, I'm going to get Bryn, blah, 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 I'm not contacting her no matter what. Like it can sit in a Slack until she gets back. There's zero way I'm gonna say, I need you. Like it's just not gonna happen. So we respect each other like that because it's really important. And just this morning, we had a call and I said to her, I need 30 more minutes because I had to meditate. It was something I needed to do to be able to be on my game today for my entire day. And when I got on, I told her, I said I was meditating. Like, she's like, oh, that's great. Like, there wasn't like, really? That's why we didn't meet? Like, she gets it. I was taking care of myself and I needed that to be best for her. One of the other questions that we had was Lynn was asking about Nikole. I love your authenticity. What advice would you give someone who is afraid to speak to someone about their trauma?
That's a great question. I mean, I feel like for me, it comes down to, do you want to heal? Or like, I guess we can even make it bigger than that is, are you happy with the way you feel currently? Because to me, at the end of the day, if you are happy, then maybe that's not something to stir up. But for me personally, I was not happy. And I think it even goes to like what Jared said. How do you know when something is, this is hard or this isn't for me? It was an internal thing for me to be within a company where I was working my tail off, but it didn't feel good versus trying to run a business, being a single mom, trying to be superwoman, but it feels great. And I think that that's where it came to for that trauma. So many people don't talk about it. And then you bring that to your relationships, your professional relationships, your personal relationships, the way you interact with your partner. So if I wanted to be able to let someone in and be able to not have walls, and if I wanted to be able to be a better daughter and a better sister and a better friend and just a better human being, I knew I wasn't happy not talking about it. So I talk about it and I talk and I mentor young women going through similar things and I talk. And it's my way of healing. So I would say, just ask that person if they're happy where they are. And if there's even the slightest bit, no, then what's the harm in talking to somebody who is there to listen and who does have a tool belt of ways to help you through the way you're feeling.
Yeah, and sometimes they're not ready, right? Sometimes people aren't ready. We kind of develop different things at our own time and our own pace. Like I think I've shared with you guys, I was like, I was miserable in that house before, and it had nothing to do with anybody. It was just me. I was miserable, but I couldn't have seen that. If any of you had said you were miserable, I wouldn't have seen it. I see it now because I feel different. Just in the last year, everything is different for me. Anybody else wanted to, any of the panelists, we're opening it up to questions, but any of the panelists wanted to ask each other questions or share about anything that was said?
I think when Kate spoke about depositing into your own energy, it really resonated with me because I am one to give. And when Mel said, give, ask, receive, I'm really good at the give. But then when it comes to asking and receiving, I am to the point where I will wait until I'm like dying to be like, can somebody just help with my daughter for 1 hour so I can just take a shower? Like, I'm not a big ask and receive, give, but I did deposit into me. And the short version is that I do Pilates every day for an hour now. I'm down 14 pounds since January 1st in a very healthy way. And I'm becoming more happy with my physical appearance because that was always something that really brought me down. But I think that depositing into me is giving me time to be a better mom, to be a better person, and to just be better all around at work and every way in life. But it's because somebody noted you're not taking care of you. So that was a great story you told, Kate.
I think it was interesting at the same time. A board member said that to me, my physician. I went for my annual physical, and she was like, women need to learn that we need to sleep. We need to eat well. We need to take care of our mental health. And then those physical health goals that we have will come along. But we try to push all of these other things aside. And that's really what happens. And then you feel stronger once you do it. So good for you.
Well, I need to add this one thing. So just along those lines, Kate, and then there's a question for you. Women apologize all the time. It's like, sorry. I heard it because you said it, Kate. I was like, oh, you're like, sorry. We do this thing. And I want to challenge you all to think, would a man say sorry in that Okay, let's roll back. But would a man say sorry in that? Think about it. Would a man have said, "Oh, I'm sorry"? No. So, all right. So the question, Kate, what would be the very first step you'd advise someone who is completely depleting their energy and doesn't know how to turn it around? That's a good question.
I think the thing that helped me was finally embracing the fact that it didn't have to be everything. To start with investing in myself, you can start with that 5 minutes of just sitting down and looking at what you have going on. I thought I ran into Mel originally too, also at a Pilates class, and I thought that I had to be good at something that I was trying to change my energy at to do it. And you don't have to be perfect at all of the things that you're doing. So I think just starting with putting yourself that time to even evaluate what you want on the calendar. I get up early so that I can be intentional with my day before everybody else is up and people at work are asking for stuff and my kids are asking for stuff. So I think just you've got to start small. Otherwise you get overwhelmed, especially when you're already burnt out. The last thing you need to do is be like, I have to find an hour today. No, I have to find 5 to 10 minutes to look at my calendar and be able to think where nobody's going to be asking me for something. Turn off your phone, turn off your email, turn off the distractions, and just give yourself that small space to start to think. And then you'll start to see where you can maybe create a little bit more space and a little bit more space to be able to do that. And then once you get there, keep it on your calendar. I'm back in the offices a couple days a week right now, but my calendar is so blocked off right now because I want to make sure that I continue to be intentional and give myself space for those things that I need to do. When you talk about needing to meditate before you start the day, that's me too, to a T, Kelly. And my operations person will tell you if I haven't been able to exercise in a few days. And she'll joke and she'll be like, do you want to go get on a treadmill, go kickbox? Like, we overbooked kind of thing, because you just feel better. So,
yeah. I have a desk on my treadmill and on my bike because I sometimes, if I can't get things in, I need to do it, because if I don't do it, I probably won't get it done that day. So if I have to do both, or if I'm feeling, but I do try to focus on that and not feel guilty about work, not check email, no Slack, nothing, no LinkedIn, which, it's hard for me.
And do you find that after you check out from other things and do that, then when you come back, you are just so much clearer?
So much better. So much better. And even if I'm running behind, sometimes instead of sitting like out on my bolster and my mat for meditation, I will come and sit here. And my Alexa, she has a different name in here, so she won't go off. And sorry if everyone's just went off, but she has guided meditation. So you just say play guided meditation, and it's usually something really short. And I literally will just sit in my chair and do it before I start. And it's just such a good, it works. It's just clearing and freeing. And once you get used to it, at first it's hard to tune things out, but once you get used to it and really focus on the breathing, you get it. I can go in like that. So it's so helpful.
Hey, Kelly, the other thing I've been hearing is and this is a time old tale, but the urgent versus the important. So I think there's so many times we make everything urgent. And how do you sit back and say, this is urgent, right? I have to do it right now. This is important. I have to do it this week. And what are the things I can push or delegate? And so we accept meetings at times that aren't urgent or important, and then we hold them because we feel like we have to. And the amount of grace that other humans have offered up, as I've said, hey, my week has gotten really busy. Can we push a week, right? That stuff makes a huge difference of just knowing when you have to say no. If you've already said yes, like most people are okay with a reschedule, right? And so I guess I would just challenge all of us as I've listened and taken away pearls of wisdom from everyone is just, is it urgent or is it important, or is it something that can be later?
Mm-hmm. I love that. My work day is not an 8-hour block of a day. It's just not how I will work. I will not. And if I could do the other things that I need to, I can get way more done in 5 or 6 hours than anyone else can get done, because I've done my focus, my meditation, this, Eric, and then I can get, if I need to, get back at night, which I try not to. I just don't feel guilty anymore. I used to have a sense of urgency, like you were saying, about everything. And not everything was a priority or urgent, but it was like, oh my gosh, a client sent me an email. Oh my gosh, what if they sent it an hour ago and I didn't get back? No one's pants are on fire. Nicole, don't I use that?
Oh, I know. I unmuted myself because I am the queen of internal pressure, like putting that pressure on myself and feeling like everybody's pants are on fire and I'm not doing enough and I've got to do more. And it's just something I've spoken to Jared about it, how many times, but just Kelly will tell me nobody's pants are on fire. And I'm over here sweating about something and trying to juggle that with a snow day and my toddler's home or whatever it is. So yeah, not only setting those boundaries, but also reminding yourself that we're not saving lives, and you can breathe.
Yeah.
Nobody's pants are on fire.
Mel, do you want to read that? That was awesome.
Sure. One of the participants on, as Bishop Jake said, you will fly across the country for someone who will not walk across the street for you. It will put your life in perspective. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Right. I love it.
Yeah. Feels like a really good bow on this.
Yeah, I know. I love that. Anything else to add, ladies? Otherwise, I just wanted to say thank you. You're amazing.
It was Sherry. Her login name says Burr. So I said, thank you, Burr. And she said, Sherry Worrel. Thanks, Sherry. That was a great ad. Yeah.
Well, thank you all. I feel so grateful to have you all in my life, and Kate and Sarah are new to me, but they're now part of my crew. So thank you. And go enjoy and celebrate women all over the world. And thanks to Scotty and System 1357.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Kelly
you.
and Scotty.